G'day guys, welcome back to TigTech. My name's Petru, and in this video I'm going to show you guys just how vulnerable your WordPress sites are if they're not secured and you've just installed WordPress straight out of the box, or you've had a web developer design your website and they haven't done any security on it. Surprisingly, this has actually been an issue for a very long time, and I'm quite surprised that WordPress haven't already implemented some sort of security around this issue by default. So basically, what we're going to exploit today is a brute force capability inside of WordPress, which can be done with a standard out-of-the-box installation of WordPress. If you're not sure what WordPress is, I did a video a little while back on how to install WordPress and how to set up your basic little site if you wanted to follow that. Otherwise, let's get straight into it. So what I have here is my Parrot OS machine, and I've got another VM working in the background that is hosting a straight out of the box WordPress instance, which I had just installed. So I'll show you that now. So if we open up the browser, this is the site. So tigtech.local, it's a local site. And here you can go to the login page as well, WP admin, and let's just assume that, so I do know what the password is obviously, but let's just assume that we don't know the username or the password here. We have no idea who this site belongs to, what it is. There's a tool that you can use inside of Parrot OS and Kali, and I'm sure you could probably get this tool anywhere. It's called WP Scan, and that stands for WordPress Scan. So I'll give you a little demonstration on how WP Scan works. So you can just use a simple command, so WP Scan, and then 2 dashes, and then URL, and then you would specify the address that you want to scan. So in this case, it would be tigtech.local. And what we can do with this information, what we can add to this is we can enumerate the users that are on this site. So let's just say we wanted to find out who the admin user was, or if we wanted to just get a collection of how many different accounts are on this WordPress website, we could use another 2 dashes and then enumeration, and then just a U to specify users. So what this will do is it will scan the target website, which in this case is tigtech.local, and it's going to enumerate users that are found on that site. So it's going to try and find users. And it can do this by looking at different plugins. It can look at the theme. It can look at posts, all that sort of stuff, or just do an investigation into the site and try and find any users. Now, before I continue with this, I just want to, again, make it very clear that this is only for educational purposes, and you shouldn't be doing anything like this on someone else's website unless you have their written permission, and that's coming from them, and you can prove that that's them, that's who's giving you that permission. This is very, very serious. So make sure that what you're learning from this video is education for yourself. If you have a WordPress site, you can try test something like this on your own site and see if there's any protection there if you're not sure if there's brute force protection. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that. It's strictly educational purposes only. So let's run this and let's see what happens. Okay, so did I spell something incorrectly? Yeah, I did. So that's supposed to be enumerate. So enumerate you, so not enumeration. So we'll change that and let's go from here. You'll probably get prompted to do an update. In this case, I'll just select no because I know that I've already got an update, and that's all done. So just an N and enter. So this is going to run the scan, And what it's doing here is it's going to be checking common plugins. It's going to be, checking what sort of version of WordPress we're using, all that sort of stuff. And if we scroll up here, you'll see users identified, and it's found a user TigTech, which is obviously me. So with this information, we can then try to see if there's any brute force protection that's protecting this site. So we can, the way brute force works is you're gonna find a password list, something that's already out there, and if you're using a very weak password or a password that has been used by someone else and it could potentially be in a password list anywhere, then that's going to be a problem for you. So that's why using very unique passwords, using a password manager, LastPass, for example, 1Password, whatever you want to use, as long as it's very, very long, complex passwords that there is very little chance that anyone in the world would have used that password before. That's what you want. And in this case, I've set the password to something particularly weak, just for the purpose of this video. And that password is in the RockU password list. So you can find that RockU password list at, I think it's user, share, word lists. And if we do an ls here, there would be a rocku.txt.gz, I think it is, which is a gzip. So what you could use is gzip and then -d for deflate. So gzip -d, and then you would put in the rocku, whatever the name of that file is that's there, and then that will unzip the file. So what we're going to use is that unzipped rocku.txt. If you try to do this with rocku.txt.gz, it's not going to work. So let's go back to our WP scan command here, and we're going to remove enumerate because we already know what the user is now, and we're going to specify usernames, and this will be the usernames that we want to brute force. So in this case, I'm going to select TigTech, and then we can also specify passwords. And here I'm just going to put in the URL to the password list that I want to use. So user, share, word list, and then rocku.txt. So that all looks good. So we've got WP scan, the URL that we want to scan, which is tigtech.local, usernames that we want to brute force, which is TigTech, which we identified from the enumeration, and then a password list that we want to use to log in or brute force. So we'll get that going. We'll select no again, and we'll just let this go. So I know that the password is around the 500th password in the list. And as you can see, it's running relatively quickly here. So this has now started the password attack now. So it's going at about, I don't know, maybe 80 a second or so. And you can see that these are all the different passwords that it's trying. So right now it's at the login page for WordPress, and it's trying TigTech and then each password that's in that password list. And if you don't have any protection, brute force protection, then this could be running for days, months, years even. And if you don't have anything that's going to tell you that this is happening, or there's nothing that's going to stop it, then eventually someone will get in. So as you can see here, the 495th password is elephant. So the username TigTech with password elephant has been a valid combination that was found. So now we can go to our login page again, and we could type in TigTech elephant. So as you can see, that's the password, and log in. And there we are. We've got access. No two-factor authentication here. There's no check your email to confirm your login. It's that simple. So that's what I mean. I'm really surprised that WordPress hasn't done something to protect WordPress being a fresh install. There are so many sites out, like, don't go looking, but I can tell you now, there are so many sites out there right now that run WordPress that don't have any brute force protection. They don't have any two-factor authentication, or even a captcha on their login. A captcha is another good tool to use, because that way, that brute force can't run without validating the captcha. So there are so many things that I could recommend in terms of securing WordPress, and a lot of those I've already mentioned. Using just something like Wordfence. If you go to your plugins and look up Wordfence, just install that. I think by default that limits your logins to like 10 failed attempts before it locks you out for like an hour or something. But you can configure all of that. So just go in and install Wordfence. That could be a good idea for WordPress to, have that plugin enabled by default, maybe. But anyway, let me know what you thought of that video, and give it a like, subscribe, share it around if you know anyone that uses a WordPress site. And if you have any questions, drop a message below and I'll try and get to you. I'll see you next time. Thanks. See ya.